Hey Northgate. Today we're in John 8, Timothy, or 1 Timothy 3, and Revelations 14. At least I sure hope we are, because that's what I read. And speaking on, in John 8, it starts off with the woman caught in the act of adultery, which right there is like, yikes, caught in the act, that's wild. But anyway, it's such a powerful story about God's grace, and just a really important reminder that none of us are without sin, so who are we to judge? But yeah, like an incredible story. And something that stands out from that story that I only just kind of realized or remembered in having read it again was the twice Jesus references bending over and writing something in the sand in verse 6 and verse 8. But scripture does not say what it was that he wrote in the sand. And I just think that's kind of cool. Like, what did he write? And it's just kind of something interesting to think about. Certainly an interesting way of conducting that whole exchange with the religious leaders. So it also goes on, that chapter, there's a more heated exchange amongst religious leaders. Imagine that, right? But they are just like fed up and eventually exasperated. They ask, "Who are you?" to Jesus. And typical Jesus fashion, he doesn't directly answer them, but rather goes on. And eventually he does say, "I am." But I just think it's interesting and it's fascinating the way that he goes about these conversations. In verse 32, he references, or Jesus says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And that's certainly a verse that in our households really important, and I'm sure in many households, but with our kids in particular, just teaching them that the truth will set you free. And to parents as well. In 1 Timothy 3, it's instructions for church leadership and qualification and the requirements to be a church leader. And in looking over that list, I'm super grateful for our church leadership and just how they meet the bill there. And I also think it's cool when you read the epistles and you see these little snippets of, like, it's scripture, but it's also like, this is a letter, and that's neat. I think it's neat when Paul says, I may be there, I may not be, towards the end. I just think that's neat. And that's it. He does finish, Paul finishes the letter with a reminder that, and I'll read it here, reminds them that Jesus appeared in the flesh, was vindicated by the Spirit, was seen by angels, was preached among the nations, was believed on in the world, and was taken up into glory. And then Revelation 14, I don't have much to say about the Revelation. I don't really know a whole lot about eschatology or know where I stand, and there's much more intelligent people who can talk about it. But I do think it's neat. Something that stood out was the 144,000, whoever they are introduced to a new song that only they either got to or get to hear. And it just has me wondering, kind of like with John 8 and the writing in the sand, like, what is this song? And what are the words? What does it sound like? What does it evoke? And just something to kind of think about. And in conclusion, like Paul says in the end of, or somewhere in Timothy 3, I think it's the beginning of 1 Timothy 3, let us all exercise self-control, be respectable, hospitable, gentle, not quarrelsome, and not lovers of money.